think we are live. Starting. There we go. Starting up here in a minute. All right, sounds good. Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Jeff with Simply Derivative, and welcome to our live stream. We're going to be doing the pre-market prep and going into live trading for this first hour of the U.S. stock market session. Let's just jump right into it. We're going to be day trading the ES today. And we're going to start by going through a little pre-market prep. We only have a few minutes. Got off to a little bit of a late start today, so I'm just going to briefly go through this. We always start with our daily chart, bigger time frame, taking a look at where we're at, bigger picture, recently cleared highs, made a new high, 28.66 just about, and then proceeded to reverse and close lower. We saw another day of weakness, and then the market started to bounce a bit. We saw that yesterday, and going into today so far, it looks like the market is continuing to hold this 2800 level. So today, it's going to be somewhat telling of what the market may do next over the next few days and really coming weeks here. So taking a look, we pulled back, tested 2800, held off of some demand, basically where this market broke out of this high in here. We came back down to that breakout point and then held. And now we have basically a continuation or bullish pattern candlestick that followed this hammer candle. And so what we're seeing here is basically one of two things is going to happen. The market's going to hold around 2820, above 2810 within this candle and continue to move up and probably take these highs out and climb towards 2880. So you'll see a nice big green candle start to form. You'll see intraday demand and support holding, and you'll see the market continue to lift. You'll see buyers come in and support it and push it up, and that would form a nice big green candle, kind of like what you have here, or kind of like what you have here, out of this area. Back up towards the highs, eventually going to break these short-term highs and climb higher towards 2900. So that's one possibility that we're looking at here. The second possibility is going to be that the market holds below this 2840 level, basically reverses and closes lower, and that is going to tell us that the market is probably going to want to go test the 2750 area, right? So we're going to be seeing either weakness coming in, and the highs are going to hold, and the market's going to drift down lower. We're flat right now. VIX is slightly up. Markets are mixed somewhat, but you have bonds up. You have gold flat, crude flat. Everything seems to be waiting for something, right? So volume is not great, but it's not horrible at the moment. We have about a few minutes before the market opens, so I don't want to get bogged down on this bigger picture, but that's kind of the game plan. We're either going to hold in here and rally up, or we're going to sell off and push down lower and go retest some levels lower. So that's kind of the big picture game plan, what we're going to look for. And so what does that look like on a small picture? We'll have to go find out. Let's move our lines. If I can grab these guys. There we go. Shrink this up a little bit. Let's see here. So that was our close, the top of the green candle. And basically at a doji right now. So to make sure that we get this on here so we have a reference point so we can see it easily. That's why we put these lines on the charts. Lock, okay, unlock. We take previous day high, previous day low. That's funny. yesterday's trading range was exactly the same distance or range as the day prior to that. Pretty interesting. Didn't really have to change that. The low was 2806, the high was 35. Okay. Right, let's lock that in place. Okay. Now let's zoom out and let's go down to our smaller time frames real quick. We only have a minute. Let's see. Okay. Let's go down to our 60 and 240s. Bigger picture. Like I said, we have room to the upside and we have room to the downside. Smaller picture. Looks like this area held in here overnight. Markets are rallying up. Basically squeezing. With a move in either direction. Looking like that's going to happen fairly soon. So something to pay attention to. We're having some trouble right in here, but this 25 area, getting over that. I know we cleared that overnight. Oh, looks like we're having a little bit of trouble here. There's the open. Probably going to rally towards the overnight high. Globex high is 28.3175 with a Globex low of 28.14. Take a look here. There we go. Let me go to the 240 real quick. 240. It's just a bunch of mess in here. Nothing really clean. You can see we have big up candles, big down candles, big up candles, big down candles, all within a tight little range. So the market is looking like it wants to break out in one direction or the other. We're just going to have to wait and be patient and kind of see what that direction is going to be. Let's go down to our 5-minute day session only. Watch the open. This was the first 5 minutes worth of trading yesterday from 22.75 up to 27.25. We're in that area right now. We're going to have to wait on putting that in there, or at least locking it. So yesterday we gapped up about 15 points. Tried to rally up, couldn't, failed, put in a little top, and then broke down and almost got to a gap fill. But we quite didn't fill the gap, at least in the ES. Maybe it'll do it today. There we go. Just give us the opportunity. That's all we need to wait for. Look at that. 120. A little base up here at 28.30, but it's a retest of this level. It is the overnight high area right in here. Have this whole zone, if you will. Basically, price rallied up, topped out, sold off, retested, and then made its drop. And now we're back in that area for the first time during normal market hours. I'd like us to take this out, get as many people in as possible. 31 up in here. This was the high from yesterday in this area. Basically from about 30 up to 35. And there was the high. So the Globex actually got up into this area, and that's why it held and couldn't go any higher and proceeded to sell off a little bit because it was testing that high from yesterday. Couldn't break it successfully, so you had to retrace down. Held, looks like the lows of yesterday as well. So the high held and the low held. So the high held and the low held. The high held and the low held. What does it tell us about today's market environment? We're basically in a range. We're having an inside day at the moment. So when you have an inside day, most effective way to trade is at the extremes. And the extremes would be the highs or the lows. And we stay out of the middle. We don't diddle in the middle. So we'll keep an eye on this. Yeah, right. This first five is still going up. We got about a minute, less than a minute on this. I don't know who else is using TradeStation out there in our community, but I've noticed some funny things with it as of late. I don't know why, but basically the candle will print 3 seconds before the clock changes. Now, if anybody could tell me what that's about, something special in it for you. I don't get it. I don't know. It's really weird. You got to be looking at a clock when it has seconds on it so you can see it. Don't mind the 7-point range on the open. That's cool. Yikes. 7 times 50 is 350 bucks worth of candle, if you will, up in there. So we're hitting that would be an upper trend line. 2 tags on a trend line create the trend line. Third time will be a test of it. That's what we're doing here. Granted, the second test was an overnight test. We got crude up, gold still flat, dollar slightly down, VIX is flat. Kind of muted markets at the moment. Not much action going on, guys. Take a look at the cash and see what we got going on here with SPX. Real quick. So SPX, we have our 10 and 20. We dip below that again, just like we did a couple weeks back. Not getting any follow through to the downside just yet. You can see that we're holding above that and we're trying to climb above this 10 period as well. Like I said, we're either going to hold this in here or get pretty close to holding this high, staying below 2840, and the market can reverse. Otherwise, this thing is going to just continue to climb up and probably go for this 2870, 2875 area, right? So today should be somewhat telling of which direction we want to go in. Take a look here. Having some trouble up in the Globex high area. Not only do we want to see a price structure like this, a topping structure, a turn in price, but we also want to see, a retest of that area to really show that there is some supply or some sellers up there, and that's what you see with this. Prices rallied up, sold off a bit, came down, held, and then rallied back up to that area before making its actual move. So this is very telling for us. This retrace into that area. That tells us that there really is some selling pressure in there because the market sold off and retraced up in there and couldn't get back towards the highs. Couldn't get back towards the highs because there was plenty of sellers in there. With plenty of sellers up here, Obviously, that presents an opportunity, um, possibly if the profit margin is there, and all those other things that we take into account. So yeah, this goes for not just Globex or overnight levels, but any level that we're looking at. We want to see some sort of validation of either demand or supply. You can say the same thing down here on yesterday's, really the low area, right? Down in here. Prices held, bounced, rallied up, sold off again, came down into this area, and then took off and made its move. Then you have prices going from an area where there was too many sellers back to an area where there was buyers. And you can see prices came down, stopped down in this area, and then reversed. You have this confirmation of buyers in here because of this retest. So that's just something that you'd want to pay attention to when you're trying to identify some levels, trying to find areas of price that you think that could be a turning point. And that's what we do. My microphone's cutting in and out. Well, that's not good. I don't know why it was doing that. Better? Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. Don't know. Let's see here. What was I saying? Yeah, basically, a hack almost, if you will, a trading hack to figure out what's a good level to sell at and what's not a good level to sell at or buy at. And just taking a little closer look at, price action can tell you a lot about what may happen next kind of thing. And so looking for that retrace into a level is always something we want to look for, and actually increases our odds of success and increases our probability of the trade working out. Now, as I say that, the market's moving away. Yeah, of course. As soon as we start talking, it starts to move. I was looking for it to get above these wicks in here, back up towards that topping structure at the top above 31. We quite didn't do that yet. I'd like to see us take that out. Let's see if we can do that. So now we have a situation that's kind of interesting here. So we have what you would consider a base, and this is the open of the market for regular trading hours, right? This was the open right in here. And so you have a situation where you have an area that you could potentially be selling at up here, and then you have your area of where you'd probably want to get out, at least for a target 1 or T1 would be in here, because of the fact this is an area where we opened up. And so when price comes back down to this area, whoever bought down in here or missed buying down here, there's a good chance that they'll come back into the market, step in, and put some buy orders in here, bid it up. So that's the only issue I was seeing with this price level. That's why I wanted us to take out the Globex high. Basically, if you have enough buyers to come in and push this through here, you're clearing out a bunch of space for us to go below, for prices to come back down below. So let's see here. You got up to, let's call it 32. You're going to risk a few points. Call it 3 points. Your risk to reward ratio needs to be at least a 2 or a 3 to 1. So if you're going to risk 3, you got to be able to at least make 6 to 9 points. If you sold it up at 32 up here, and your first target is down here at 20, call it 25, that's what, 7 points? So that's about a 2 to 1 risk to reward ratio. Hey, good morning, Franco. How are you? And so we'd probably want to, long story short, this is going to be a more aggressive type of trade if you're able to get on board something like this, because your risk to reward is not the greatest, but a trade's a trade. And if it's at least 2 to 1, we take it. So, yeah. We're basically stuck in the middle of this range here from yesterday's high and low, having the inside day. And then you go down to the 5-minute. In that first 5 minutes worth of trading, we're stuck in the middle of that range right now as well. Not really getting any indication of direction. The market could go up, it could go down from this point. It could do that at any point, but when you're in the middle of the move, either side is open for price to come back down into. So you may get into a situation where you'd buy down in here, just below the open in this base. But again, your supply area, and then the flip side comes into play. You're looking at, a profit margin of, granted, this little area right in here is a little smaller in terms of risk amount than up here, where you'd be risking maybe 3 points. Here, you're looking at less than 2 points worth of risk. And so with that, the risk to reward ratio on this long opportunity looks a little bit better than the short opportunity, but you're still having to deal with the fact that there's some sellers up here pretty close by. And so, that's one thing that we'd have to take into account if we were looking to get long out of this area right in here. Okay, 6:45. You have the first 15 minutes. Big old wick to the upside. Let's see what this .D looks like. How's the volume? How's the mic? Are we good?
Yep, everything's good.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, so we touched right up in that high area. Thought we'd get up a little bit higher above 31. We didn't do that just yet. Now we're holding on to the open area. It's hard to ignore a wick like this. Having a wick like this means some sellers came in and pushed this down. And so that may be telling for us of what the market may want to do next. A VWAP at 2350. Volume weighted average price is right in this zone as well. You have the previous close and the open in that area. You have the open of the regular trading hours in this area. So lots of trading, lots of eyes on this particular zone. And so it's going to be somewhat of an inflection point. Look at cash. That's what I wanted to do, and I forgot to do that. Let's go down to the 15-minute on SPX. You can see we had a slight gap up. Came back towards the highs of yesterday. Pulled back a little bit into the open where we're at now. Bigger picture. Take a look here. Definitely have room to the upside. We have our eyes on this 2840 area. This was the origin of the gap down that we saw last week after creating new highs and getting up to 2860 for the first time in a while. And then we basically sold off, gapped down in the opposite direction that we had been going. These professionals and the bigger institutions coming in, pushing the market down. And then you can see that produced a nice down move with a retest below 2800. So the next time price visits this area, we would expect some sellers to come in as well and present a shorting opportunity for us. So that's something that we're going to be paying attention to, but that is much higher. We're going to have to, much higher, 20 points. We're going to have to get through yesterday's high first and then there is some congestion right below that level, above that 32 here on SPX. The chart on the ES is going to look exactly the same, especially when you're looking at the day session only chart, right? Because it takes out the overnight. So it looks basically the same as the cash market index or SPX. Just good to look at both.
Good to have reference.
Exactly. You can see that we are not holding this first 5 minutes. We're coming back in the open at VWAP now. I'm not necessarily a fan of buying this at the moment. Again, we're basically in the middle of the range if you look at this 60-minute. And just because the market does move in a direction away from a price level that we're talking about, that doesn't necessarily mean we're ready to initiate something. We want to be very precise and clear with what we're looking at and follow our rule set. And when we're in the middle, we simply stay out for the most part. And that's where we're at right now. We are in the middle of the range. We're having an inside day. So trading is going to be basically range bound for the day. So with that, you should see, or you could see, the market come down and test the lows, just like we're testing the highs. At least for Globex, it's going to be short term. And then, once the Globex gets taken out, we can still see the market hold yesterday's high and yesterday's low. And that's what an inside day will do. It's going to keep price inside the previous day's trading range. And so the best course of action, if that's the case, is just trade the extremes. It's going to be your higher probability type of opportunities. Yeah. I mean, you can get cute and get aggressive with trades and put on 50 trades in a day if you want, but I'd rather wait for the big opportunity. In this case, yesterday there was a nice short up here, or you could have bought the lows. You can see it rally up. Even check if there was any econ news. I didn't think there was today, just crude oil. Did you have anything, Tori? Econ calendar?
No, we've had obviously on the other side of the spectrum all the option stuff. So as far as financial news, I don't have anything on my radar as of this morning.
Yeah, it's just crude oil.
Yeah.
Crude oil at 7:30. Crude oil. And then tomorrow, GDP. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be a big day. Tomorrow and Friday, I think. Yeah, Friday's got a bunch of stuff too. A bunch of stuff. All right, well, prices held in this little pocket of demand in here for now. You can see we're popping back up towards the top end of that 5 minutes, actually towards the middle end. On the inside day, you're going to see price stay within even small time ranges within the overall range on the day on the bigger time frames. So it can make trading on these days a little tricky as well.
Yeah, it's just like we've said before, that today is kind of one of those days. It's almost like fishing. You just gotta have the patience and you waiting for the right setup.
That's right. That's right.
All of you fishermen out there, here's your reference.
Man, I haven't been fishing in a while.
I'll be back down fishing again in July.
Where are you going?
Be down in Mexico,
Oh, in Mexico. Nice. Okay.
Cabo area.
Very cool. Some deep sea.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Mm. Looks like they're trying to push this thing down a little bit. Like I said, I was hoping we would get back up in here. We still may here in a second, but looking at this top from yesterday towards the high. It would be a break of the first 5-minute high. People would be thinking we're getting long. Market would be up 7 points away, about 8, 9 points at that point. Taking out the Globex, getting into yesterday's high. Yesterday's high, if we're having an inside day, strong chance of holding. So you would see the market reversed from up here. Let's make sure that that's what we're waiting for and seeing. You got these wicks coming in from the upside in here. You got your sellers basically in control, it looks like. Anytime any type of buying is going on, it's getting met with selling and they're pushing it down. Tells me that they want to break down, probably. There it goes. Now, no doubt you could have grabbed a few points off of this level, you know, getting in anywhere from basically you just throw your order at VWAP within this zone and have your stop below the area. In this case, it would have been below 21. Um, you could have grabbed a few points out of there that ran up to what 27.75. So 3 to 4 points on that with a risk of, you know, 2 to 3 points. So it's really a 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio at that point. That's not something that we were looking at um, for a serious opportunity. That's not within our wheelhouse. And so, and again, you can see that we're cutting right through that area. If the highs held, now we're probably going to go test the lows.
There's definitely some weakness there.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Definitely. Do have this base towards the low of the overnight right in here. Basically rallied up, you paused, and then you had your move up from this area. See what a 5 on this guy is looking like. Everything's turned negative now. Bonds are up, so rates are down again. Down again. Rally up, pull back to an area of demand. Demand is probably somewhere in here. Call it 1550.
Come on down.
1550. It heard you. They heard you. Here it comes. coffee tastes like ass. Ugh. I don't know what I did this morning to it. No bueno.
That's why I just stick with my iced coffee.
Mr. Fancy Pants, huh? Little caramel macchiatos and your
No, just
soy lattes and your just teasing. What were you saying?
regular iced coffee. Nothing too crazy, no cream.
Nice. It's kind of weird when you go to Starbucks. You can get a venti, like just black coffee, and it's 275. You ask for an iced coffee, and you get a smaller size, and it's more expensive for some
Yeah, the
reason.
ice is expensive.
What are they putting in their ice, man? I don't get it.
This is the finest ice you will ever have. And then they charge you an additional dollar for that.
It's just silly. I don't get it.
Sounds like they got the winning formula.
They're just trying to. I think people like iced coffee, so they taking advantage of that demand.
I just figured the caramel macchiato was just a little pricey in general, but now that I look at it, you're right. Price is definitely the markup. That caramel.
Oh, that caramel. Take a look at our 240. That candle just closed. Yeah, we're definitely getting some weakness. So this is going to be telling on the daily for us. What is that going to show? Show, at least for now, that we may want to come down and get lower. So bigger picture, again, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but we rallied up, created a new high at 2860. Next day, bearish engulfing candle, sold off, closing below this low or the open of this candle that made the new high. We dipped below the 10 and 20. We held an area that produced the breakout above this high, and now we've come back up into this expanded range or engulfing candle and are having some weakness again for a second day in a row, and we can possibly be seeing the market come down, right? It's going to rally up for the retest, and this is what we were just talking about in general on these smaller time frames, and I'll go back to that and show you guys. And then is this going to be the path that we take? We sold off after putting in a high. We came down, held, rallied up, have that retest of that area where we broke down from, and then the continuation is going to be to the downside. Is that the path that we're on? That would present, obviously, certain opportunities to us, and we'd want to be paying attention to that. And this will be telling for anybody that does swing trades or position trades, or even if you have stock positions, knowing where the market's at and what it may do next is obviously one way to protect yourself from down moves, especially if you only invest in stocks, or if you trade options. You could take advantage of these bigger indices by trading options on the indices themselves or those SPYs. Even the futures you can trade options on, and you could take advantage of these bigger picture levels like this. The price action is going to be the same thing. You have to treat it the same way. The only difference is with bigger time frames, levels tend to hold and stick more. And so if you keep that in mind, combine that with the fact that it basically is the same thing no matter what time frame it is. You can use your small time frame analysis, and your skills of finding levels on those shorter time frames. You extrapolate that to the bigger time frame, and you can take advantage of those opportunities just on a bigger scale. And so that's kind of what we're seeing here, especially if the market finishes as is. Let's say we closed right now. I know we just opened, but if we closed somewhere in the red, like it is now, or even lower, then for me, that's enough information to say that we're going to go retest 2750, right? Because of this price action, where you have a strong move up through an area of supply, you sold off after making a high. We hide out at 2860. Next day, bearish engulfing, closes below that previous open candle, that candle that made the high. We sold off. We held at the breakout point, retested higher, failed at the retest, and we're going to drop. So that's the path we're kind of looking at here. And
It almost looks like a mirror.
what do you mean?
That line you called there. It's really reflecting what the market could do from here.
Yeah, I mean, this is the path that this is potentially going to take. If this fails and holds in here, you can see the market most likely, in the very least, get back to the origin of this move down in here, which would be 2750, call it. Yes, it would be back in here too. Yeah, 2750. The base of this bullish engulfing candle right in there, right? So that's some bigger picture analysis here for us. I'm just going to leave that on here and see if that's something that will pan out. And if it does, then we're going to put on some other opportunities, other trade ideas. Okay, let's get rid of this. Where was the open? Right there. This was the open. First 5 minutes right there. For an inside day, the range is actually pretty good. It's about 12 points so far. Come on, boys. Oops. Gotta go back to my time frame. A little bit of a bullish candle on this 5 minute at 20. May hold this wick low, rally back up. Get rid of that ugly thing. So again, we look at the first five for a few reasons. First 5 minutes, we identify that, we keep an eye on that, we label that on our charts because price has a tendency to revert back to the first 5 and 15 minutes worth of trading, those price levels, those price areas, and you'll see a lot of the time they'll line up with a price structure that we deem valid for a turning point. And if you combine and have confluence of, let's say, that price level and an actual price structure that looks good in terms of a zone that we'd want to lean against, then that is only enhances our probabilities, right? The problem with this particular zone right in here is the fact that it's about 7 points wide. And so, we don't typically risk more than 4, 5 points at the most on an intraday trade. And that's when the markets are really moving. And given the fact that we're not moving like that, this is not something that we'd want to, short here and put your stop up above here. That's not good practice. It's not at least part of our plan and how we do it. and how we trade. Even though the conditions are somewhat favorable for a short right in here, it's just these wicks are too big and the zone is too big in this first 5. If we were going to sell anything, I'd want it to get back up towards that first 5-minute high area above 28. It could, although before I completely dismiss the idea, let's take a look at a small time frame. Down to our 2-minute chart. 2 minutes. In this case, it may pop up above that first 5. You have a price structure right in here, basically, that you may be able to lean up against. It's only 2.5 points worth of risk. I don't like it though because you'd be putting your stop. You'd have to put your stop obviously above that high that created this zone. And why this zone? Well, basically you have the market selling off, rallying up. You got a bearish engulfing candle followed by another candle that pushed the market down. And so you basically have sellers in control up here. Prices get back up here. You have your sellers that'll probably step in and continue to push the market down. But you have some wicks in here that are pointing up, which tells me that the market could run up a little bit in here and reverse. So again, going back to this particular little area, you may have an issue with the stop being in here because prices can go through this, stop you out, and still turn down and make its move because you still have some selling pressure up in here, and that's indicated through the wicks. The wicks to the upside are telling us that sellers came in and sold the ES and pushed it down. And so if sellers were in here pushing it down at this 28 level, there's a possibility, just like anything in trading, everything's possible. Nothing's impossible for the most part. That price can rally back up in here, get a little higher, and actually take this area out that everybody's looking at, and then get the real sellers just right above that area. So that's the only issue I see with this first 5 minutes. We're down on the 2-minute. When it's a big zone like this, a big range, it can present some problems for us. And so, in the fact that we just have to wait for a different opportunity. And that's it. Things have seemed to have calmed down a little bit here. Back to the 5. Are we good? Are we still connected?
Oh, we're still good.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just making sure. It's something. The lights surged again. I don't know if the power was going to go out.
there was a quick glitch real quick, but everything is good.
Yay.
Gotta love the power companies.
Dude. Can we short them? Yeah. I don't think the Department of Water and Power is shortable.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Now, if PG&E was in charge of it, then what? Where?
What was that?
I said if PG&E or whatever was in charge of it, then we could, but not down here.
PG&E is would definitely if the DWP could be shorted, it would probably reflect just like PG&E.
Yeah, they're swell over there, huh? 2 days in a row of the power going out. Let's make it not a third, yeah? Yeah, yeah. Please don't do it.
Granted, we are in Southern California and this is happening, so
Yeah.
it does not matter where you live.
No, but you'd think it'd be in an area where they're like inclement weather or like, storms or something nasty and SoCal. But it's somehow happening. Need like a backup generator. Post it out outside.
It'd be useful.
I think it would.
One of those Tesla batteries,
Yeah,
generator.
yeah. What is that? The Super Wall or what is that called? Powerwall. 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 Powerwall.
Saw that they installed some of those yesterday in Japan for one of the train lines. There was a backup generator in case power was to go down.
Really interesting.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Oh boy. If you guys are just joining us and wondering why we are not actually in a trade yet, um, we're waiting for the market to present an opportunity that meets our criteria. And right now, we are sitting smack dab in the middle of this range within an inside day. So we're basically sitting on our hands at the moment. And I know it's not the greatest to watch, but it is what it is. That's what the market does. A lot of the time, it's range bound and not having its impulsive moves. So we're kind of just waiting and being patient.
In the business of not losing money, you know,
Yeah, you
at
try.
least minimalize not losing money.
Well, if you're sticking to your rules and meeting your criteria and following your plan, then if you lose money, it's just a natural part of doing business when you trade. But when you're, taking trades that aren't part of your plan, then when you lose money doing that, that's just stupid. It's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I agree. Just putting a trade on just to put a trade on.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. That brings up a whole host of other issues, psychological, that may, somebody may want to, you know, go talk to somebody about. If you need to put on a trade for the action, then probably in the wrong business. Quite a few casinos, so go do that. It's actually stalling out a little bit at that zone that we've identified on the 2450. It's having trouble getting above. Mario Draghi is talking. Or oh, he already talked earlier. Never mind. What's the volume like? 500,000 contracts. 715. Not bad, especially considering range that we're in. Market likes to do what you think it won't do. Wanted us to get a little bit higher, we didn't. We sold off. Wanted us to get a little bit lower, we didn't. We held. Coming back up towards that. We get above that first 5, we're shorting it, which would put us above 28.30, which would put us above this swing high right in here that we sold off at in the beginning.
Come on, markets.
You gotta be more specific.
Come on, ES.
Yeah, you gotta be more specific. You gotta tell it exactly what you want it to do. That's the key to success, guys. Talking to the market, sweet talking it. You heard it first here.
Hit it with a little Luther.
Oh yeah. Hey baby.
Won't get to 28.30. It's like the algorithms are like, all right, we're just gonna not get there for you guys. How about that?
They're all stuck at VWAP. Goes below, they buy. Goes above, they're selling. Russell's the only market down still, albeit everything's basically flat. Next 2 days, we got quite a bit of economic data coming out. So I don't know if the market is just waiting for that. It feels like the market's waiting for something. Econ chart. Let's see here. Crude oil coming up here in about 9 minutes. And Thursday, you got GDP for the fourth quarter, jobless claims, pending home sales, a couple Fed guys talking. That's tomorrow, Thursday, and then Friday the 29th. You got a bunch of PCE data coming out, new home sales, sentiment as well on Friday. Guess that's what the market's waiting for. Some inflation information. I mean, my goodness. No doubt quite a bit of stuff, but come on now. What are some of our options doing?
Let's see here.
Pull up crude oil real quick. Oh, what's wrong with this chart? I'm sorry, what'd you say, Tori?
Well, one of our positions here started off kind of hot, and morning kind of pulled back a little bit. So we'll see how it kind of closes out at the end of the day. But Skechers gapped up here this morning.
Cool. Skechers, Coke, Allstate, Devon. I know we got a bunch of those. Yep. We got crude coming out in 5 minutes. What's the ES doing? It's getting back towards the top end of this range here.
All right, Marcus. You got about 5 minutes here.
Do something useful. I swear, like the last two times we've live streamed, it's been a inside day, or it's been a slow day in the very least.
And that's where our group coaching rooms come into play. In these cases, when they're usually slower days, we like to flip over to the option sides of things and explore that as well. And
Yeah, no,
obviously, we don't do the live stream, so
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, with the trading room as well, we're in there all day, so we don't just have to sit for an hour and wait for a signal. We have literally all day, the entire trading session to analyze and put on trades in the market. So
and you guys, the viewers here today, also, if you were to join, you get to fire away any sort of questions as well, as far as anything you guys are interested in, as far as options and
other
a little bit
futures
of advice.
markets.
Yeah, and futures as well. Obviously, futures. We're doing that right now.
Just trying to hold in here. Got a bearish engulfing coming up here. If that's the case, you may want to sell this. Come on, buyers, where you at?
They're snoozing, getting their morning coffee right now.
Speaking of which, I need to go get some new coffee. Yuck. Maybe I'm missing the Starbucks ice. Maybe that's it.
The dollar ice.
Yeah, right? Couple minutes on this candle. See where we're at. Hopefully it doesn't fall off a cliff right now. Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna hold that wick low. Yeah, 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 yeah. 7:30 coming up. We have been drifting up for the past about half hour already, 20 minutes. So we're coming up to a time frame that can produce turning points and swings. It's not the time frame itself; it's just the time of day um, that you can see a lot of the time the market reverse course in either direction that it's been going. The first is between about 6:50 to 7:10 in that time frame, and then the second um, reversal period is right around 7:20 to 7:40, and we are about to be smack dab in the middle of that right here at 7:30. So we got crude coming out in a minute. Crude is actually down. What is this pending data? Why isn't it loading? I'm on Trade Station. 5 minutes. Or not. It's just gonna ruin what I'm doing. Okay. We're still connected, right?
Yes, we are.
I'm freaking out thinking that the internet is, or the power went out.
No, we're still good.
Okay. All
Everything's good.
right. So we got a bearish engulfing candle on this 5 minute. So it looks like we may have a shorting opportunity. And of course, as soon as I say that, the market wants to rally up. It's like, what? What'd you say?
Yeah, it's hard.
What'd you say, guy? What the heck did you say? It's in the middle of this darn range. So location is very important, guys. We want our price structure and our price action to be in areas that are going to be ideal. And so just like real estate, location is important. Price, where it's at, where the structure's at, where levels are at, they're just as important as, everything else that we consider. Location is very, very important. 2750, come on, get up in here. Get on up. What did Crude do? It's bouncing around. Okay. Check cash real quick. I know I'm going back and forth, guys. Sorry about that. Thank you, Trade Station. Messy, messy. Looks like crude oil tested its high from yesterday and is getting rejected out of there. Similar to equities. Crude is also having an inside day, at least so far. There it goes. 15 looks strong. 5's looking weak. 60 minutes just a mess. It really is. But this is, again, this is the type of trading that's indicative for a inside day kind of thing. And so it's kind of messy. Uh, no, it's not clean. The moves and your profit margins are going to be smaller than on outside days. Naturally, if we're stuck in a range, then prices are going to basically, you know, whipsaw from highs to lows and lows to highs. And so that is kind of what looks like is happening here. I almost just want to short this here just to take a short in this area. 2650 is stop above 2850. Target would be the lows. Yep, 735. Okay. Well, let's just go a couple more minutes and see how this plays out. Couldn't take the high out. Now we're still within the first 5 minutes of trading. Not time-wise, but price-wise. We're in that area between 28.30 and 28.23. Again. Highs held, so this would be a day high hold. Regular trading hour day high right in here. Prices came up so far, tested, selling off. You have your bearish engulfing, followed by some follow through. Let's see if we can get back up in here, and then that would be possibly an entry. I'd like to see the 15-minute confirm that for us. Sometimes when you're waiting for confirmation of a time frame or price to get to a level or price to create a structure that you're looking for, sometimes it may be a little too late, and you're just going to have to let the market do its thing and then wait for your next opportunity. And that happens, quite often. So there's no reason to get bummed out about it. No reason to, uh, not staying focused or in the proper mindset. The market presents tons of opportunities each day. So even on crappy inside day trading ranges, you still have opportunities. It's just you got to be a little more selective and you got to be definitely a lot more patient. So. 7:36. All right, let's wait a few more minutes, and we're just gonna have to call it. Here for the live stream, we have our trading room still open. A bunch of our members are still in there, so you guys are pretty good about being patient with our live streams. A lot of the members that are in there are already trading on their own, so they kind of are doing their own thing. Yeah, quite just didn't get high enough. Now we're pulling back again. Questions or anything like that? Nothing we missed. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Well, I think we'll just call it here. Close this down and get back on a live stream possibly on Friday for you guys. Um, just real quick before we leave, again, we're on an inside day. It's going to be a tight trading range. Try to stay away from the middle. That's kind of where we've been this entire morning so far. It's just been diddling in the middle. You'd want to see prices get lower below 15 to look for some longs. Here on the 15-minute chart, I'd wait for the Globex high to get taken out to look for some shorts. And then bigger picture, let's take a look at that real quick before we get on out of here. Bigger picture, pay attention to the rest of the day and how we close. If we close red and close lower, especially than yesterday's open, in the case of SPX would be 28.1272. The ES would be 28.08. If we close below those two price levels in these products, then there's a good chance that we're going to have a continuation to the downside. And next target would be 27.50. basically what you'd want to do is going into the end of the day within the last like half hour, 15 minutes. If it looks like we're going to close lower, then you can go ahead and put on, for our options traders and swing traders, you'd want to probably initiate some long puts or sell some calls, and basically, take advantage of this down move that would possibly follow off of that. You'd see the weakness. This is a retest back up into these highs, and then the market would continue to move down, and this would be a target down in here below 2760, 2750, call it. Um, that would be the trade setup for a swing trade, also an options play as well. So that's what we're looking at here today, going into the rest of the week. Markets a little choppy this morning. There have been some smaller time frame opportunities, but nothing great. Like I said, we've been stuck in the range, in the middle of the range, and so it's been not the greatest environment, but that could change later. It's still early in the morning, and so just be patient, guys, and make sure you follow your rules, stick to it, and in this case, since we're having an inside day, trade the extremes, trade at the high, trade at the low, and stay out of the middle. All right. Hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email at any time. Jeff@simplyderivative.com. You can check us out at simplyderivative.com. Join us for our live streams. We're aiming to do it a couple days a week on top of our trading room that we do 3 days a week as well. So thank you to all the members that are a part of that and patient while we do the live streams. Everybody that showed up this morning, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you guys next time. All right. Good luck in trading. Follow your rules, stay disciplined, and again, wait for the extremes in this market because we are just chopping around in here. So, not the greatest, but you know what? Depends on what style of trader you are. But all in all, just make sure you're protecting your capital. You have good risk to reward ratios, and you follow your rules. All right. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.